Hey, all my Crimsonites, and welcome to the Crimson Cure channel, where we embrace our femininity, increase our womanly value, and celebrate our brothers. So join me on our feminine journey to learn, heal, and grow. Hey there, my Crimsonites, and welcome to the Crimson Cure channel. I'm your hostess, femininity coach, and author of The Crimson Cure. And this is my perspective. So you knew eventually I would get around to Miss Kamala Harris, the Biden-Harris administration, playing in everybody's faces with a 750 whole dollars. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play the news clip. Is about a little bit more than a minute. Of course, you know, I got to do my overlay thing. But this is her announcing how much money they might give the victims of Hurricane Helene. Let me go ahead and play this clip for you guys.
And I want to thank the local leaders for together creating a task force-like response, knowing that we are at our best when we work together and coordinate resources, coordinate our communications to the maximum effect for the community that has been impacted. And the federal relief and assistance that we have been providing has included FEMA providing $750 for folks who need immediate needs being met, such as food, baby formula, and the like. And you can apply now for anyone who's watching this who has been affected. There are FEMA personnel who are going door to door to interact personally with folks, especially those who do not have electricity. But also that aid, if you have electricity, can be applied for online. And I encourage people to do that. FEMA will just basically verify your address, and then the process should take hold. FEMA is also providing tens of thousands more dollars for folks to help them be able to deal with home repair, to be able to cover a deductible when and if they have insurance, and also hotel costs. Today, I'm also announcing that the president has approved the governor's request for 100% federal reimbursement of local costs.
So I don't even want to this little video here to play because it's not necessary. What I want to do is read this article to you guys. This little video is not necessary. I'm not going to be playing it, but I want to read this little article. Okay. The truth behind FEMA's hurricane funding shortfall and $1 billion migrant expenditure. So the reason that I want to read this article is because the Democrats and their shills and their crash dummies are coming out trying to cover up what was said before. Okay. When Alejandro Mayorkas, okay, which I believe he's been impeached now, but he was the head of FEMA, basically came out just a couple of days ago and said, okay, we don't have any money, really. Like, we don't have much money to help the hurricane victims, the victims of Hurricane Helene, nor do we have the funds to cover hurricane season. Okay. Because as we know, there's always every year, every fall or what have you, there's hurricane season where plenty of tropical storms form over the Atlantic Ocean and possibly in the Gulf, but usually the tropical storms form in the Atlantic Ocean. Okay. And sometimes they remain over the ocean. Sometimes they don't become hurricanes, and sometimes they make landfall. So, of course, as we all know, if a tropical storm becomes a hurricane and then makes landfall, that is the United States hurricane season. It can hit any of the islands. It typically will hit Florida. Sometimes a hurricane will go into the Gulf of Mexico and hit those southern states. And sometimes it'll do what it did, was make landfall and cut a swath through the southeastern states, South Carolina, North Carolina, parts of Florida, things of that nature. So now, no matter where the hurricane may or may not land, it is FEMA's job. That's one big reason why they get their funding, is because we have hurricane season. Sometimes there's tornado season in the Midwest. So to cover the natural disasters, okay? Because natural disasters such as this, such as 2005, I believe it was 2005 or 6, Hurricane Katrina hit, because the hurricane found its way into the Gulf of Mexico and hit those states. And so the devastation that was left behind, FEMA has to have the funds to actively produce supplies for people, emergency supplies, food, shelter, and actually give the people money so that individual families and individuals can actually start trying to rebuild themselves or figure themselves out, because they've lost everything, not due to something that they did. It was a natural disaster. Nobody could help it. Nobody can stop the hurricane or stop the storms. Okay, so now the problem is that what was reported before was that FEMA didn't have the money because the budget that it was allocated actually got used for illegal immigrants and their funding and housing and blah, 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 blah. That was what was initially reported. Now you've got a whole bunch of folks coming out talking about, oh no, that's not where the money went. Where the money go then? Where it go? Because you can't say that FEMA didn't receive a budget. They received hundreds of millions of dollars for budget every year. So where'd the money go? If they're saying they don't have it, and we've only had one major hurricane this season, then where the money at? And why? And if you got so much money, why are you playing in folks' face with $750? We're going to get back to the $750. But what I want to do is read this article. So this says that this is coming from the Washington Examiner. So the truth behind FEMA's hurricane funding shortfall and $1 billion migrant expenditure. An admission by impeached Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas that the department's Federal Emergency Management Agency, which is FEMA, is running out of money to respond to future hurricanes has sorely irritated Republicans. I doubt that. Infuriated GOP lawmakers have blamed Mayorkas and the Biden-Harris administration for a shortfall in funding to respond to future hurricanes in the remainder of this year's season. Republicans have claimed that FEMA has spent the money on the border crisis that ought to have gone towards its natural disaster response, right? So that would mean that FEMA's money went to the immigrants, did it not? Right? We have the immediate needs right now on a continuing resolution. We have funds, but that is not a stable source of supply, if you will. Mayorkas said aboard Air Force One Wednesday while headed to South Carolina with President Joe Biden. Mind you, before we continue this article, President Sleepy Joe Biden got his butt on the camera just like a day ago and was like, oh, we need the American people to come together to help the people that's the hurricane victims. You mean to tell me the ones that already spent their taxes and the tax money was supposed to go into the budget for FEMA and was supposed to go to them? You mean that money? So you telling that the people who are already struggling, people who are already living paycheck to paycheck, people who are already dealing with the inflation that your administration caused, you mean to tell me that you want those people to pony up the money, crowdfund the money to help them people? And I'm not against crowdfunding to help those people. I'm not against that, the concept of that. But the gall of running out of the money, of spending the money elsewhere. And then now that you don't have your pockets on rabbit ears, now you telling everybody else, well, y'all do it. Excuse me? We don't mind helping, but the bulk of that was supposed to come from the federal government, was it not? That's the whole purpose of FEMA, to address emergency situations, unforeseen situations, so that it doesn't become an ongoing crisis on American soil. That's the whole purpose behind funding for FEMA. So they can come up with supplies, they can come up with temporary housing, they can come up with a lot. FEMA can come up with a lot of stuff, actually. Anyway, let me finish. We are expecting another hurricane hitting. Mayorkas said of the hurricane season, we do not have the funds. FEMA does not have the funds to make it through the season and what is imminent. FEMA rejects Trump's claims on migrants taking hurricane money. We are not talking about Trump. Trump is not in office. Trump is not in office. I don't even want to hear about, oh, Donald Trump doing this, doing that. No, he's not the president. He's not the vice president. He's not in Congress. He's not a senator. He is not in office nowhere. Okay? So therefore, the final decisions for stuff that the federal government is doing right now don't have nothing to do with Trump. He is not in office. If he was in office, we'd be talking about him. Former President Donald Trump accused Biden of redirecting the money from FEMA's disaster relief fund to respond to the border crisis. So that is what he's saying. They're saying, oh, he's lying because Trump said that the money that was on paper, FEMA received the budget. In reality, the money was spent elsewhere, is what is being said. To respond to the border crisis, the Harris-Biden administration says that they don't have any money for the hurricane relief. They spent it all on the illegal migrants, Trump said during a campaign rally. They stole the money, just like they stole it from a bank, so they could give it to their illegal immigrants that they want to have vote for them. FEMA's hurricane response coffers are short, but not because the agency moved money to respond to migrants at the southern border, DHS reported. Now they're saying, no, it didn't have nothing to do with the money, with the migrants. And it didn't have nothing to do with us trying to, put the money towards the border, the open border crisis that we have. No, it don't have nothing to do with that. That's what they're saying. These claims are false, DHS said in a statement. The Shelter and Services Program is a completely, now mind you, listen carefully. These claims are false. What claims? The claims that FEMA's money has been used to address the southern border migrant crisis. They're saying that is not the truth. So DHS further says these claims are false. The Shelter and Services Program is a completely separate appropriated grant program that was authorized and funded by Congress and is not associated in any way with FEMA's disaster-related authorities or funding streams. Okay, so what they're trying to tell you is that the SSP, which is another program that was actually designed to deal with the southern border, blah, 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 is something separate from the funds that FEMA has. Okay, so now, FEMA disaster funding not increased by Congress. FEMA has spent more than $1 billion on border-related matters because of the emergency situation it has presented to border communities and cities within the U.S. that have received high numbers of immigrants. Data on FEMA's website show that Congress funded more than $1 billion in fiscal years 2023 and 2024 to reimburse nonprofits and state and city governments that paid for the shelter and the food to help immigrants released by Border Patrol. Is it me? Am I bugging? Am I tripping out? Tell me if I'm tweaking or not. But didn't they just say no? The funding that FEMA had didn't have nothing to do with the funding that was used to address the border towns and the southern border and the Shelter and Services Program, right? But Just a few more sentences. It says on FEMA's website, it shows that Congress funded more than $1 billion in fiscal years 2023 and 2024 to reimburse nonprofits and state and city governments that pay for shelter and food to help immigrants released by the Border Patrol. Am I having reading comprehension problems, or is everybody else seeing the same thing? I'm saying, this is contradicting. Is this not a contradiction of what you just said? You just said it had nothing to do with it. You said FEMA had nothing to do with the funds that was spent on the immigrants. That is not why the FEMA's coffers are low. It has nothing to do with that. Without telling us why are they low then? FEMA's shelter and services program is funded by Congress, and DHS could not have filled the fund with money from another FEMA program, according to DHS. See, in 2023, the DHS and FEMA announced $363 million to FEMA's shelter and service program. In 2024, FEMA put $650 million towards the SSP. Do I have to finish? Okay. Here she come playing in folks' face with $750. After money had hundreds of millions of dollars have gone to house, feed, and clothe illegal immigrants flooding this country. Billions of dollars have gone to Ukraine, Israel, not to mention, see, when I talk about illegal immigrants, I'm not just talking about Haitians and Venezuelans. The Ukrainians have come here. What you talking about? The white ones. You see what I'm saying? It's all of them. All of them together in my mind. Billions of dollars have gone to them. And then here they come to put $750 funky dollars that they are denying people, by the way. Okay? Denying people. You couldn't even round it up to a stat. When illegal immigrants can show receipts of having tens of thousands of dollars in food stamps, they could go, you know what I'm saying? They're getting thousands of dollars per month to survive. So all of that housing funding, that's not for you. That's for them. When she talk about the child tax credit, that's not for you. That's for them, because they're going to have babies here, anchor babies. They're going to have their children here so that their children will be natural born American citizens. And so that child tax credit is going to be for them. They the ones going to have the babies. They showing you who they care about. This is how they misappropriate American tax dollars. This is how they do it. And then when American citizens need help, I don't care if they were natural born citizens or legal immigrant citizens. When we need help, because our tax dollars go into this system, we work. They grape us for that tax. Don't make a couple of dollars more. Don't dare make a few dollars above the average. And then when we need the money, when we need the money, you don't have it all of a sudden. And then when we state clearly what is in front of our faces. Oh, you gave our money to them, so now you can't give it to us because you ain't got it. Oh no, we ain't get the money to them. Well, where it go then? Who you give it to? Huh? Who you give it to? If you didn't give it to the illegal immigrants, where it go? Because notice in none of that do they say it didn't go to the immigrants, it went over here. Because we, like I said, we've only had one major hurricane this year. There's another one expected to make landfall, I think in like a week or two. They don't know how strong it's going to be because it's a tropical storm right now. Okay? The most that we can do is predict it. But you can't stop the hurricane from making landfall and doing whatever damage it's going to do. You can't do it. You just got to let it do what it's doing and hope for the best after, because it's going to hurt something. Somebody's going to lose their life, and property damage is going to be in the millions of dollars. And it don't matter if you got home insurance or whatever it is. Those insurances don't like to pay out, or they just pay a little bit. It's not enough. $750 is not enough to pick nobody's life up. That's half somebody's mortgage, if that. That's half somebody's rent, if that. I can't feed my family with that. I can't go, you know what I'm saying, to the hotel with that, but for so long. And then you have the audacity to be denying some people that, or you're not even giving that whole $750 to everybody. Like some people are saying they ain't getting nothing. Some people saying they only got $200-300. Like, what do you think people are supposed to do with that? What is the people supposed to do? Something happened, a tree fall in your living room, or the floods, you know what I'm saying, destroy your home, destroy all your property and all that kind of stuff. You got to rebuild that stuff. You know what I'm saying? It becomes difficult to do that, because do you save your home or do you scrap it? Can you afford to scrap it? Some people can't afford to save it or scrap it. So it's just like, man, what do I do? Because I'm still in the middle of paying for it. It's not completely paid for. Now it has all of this damage because of the trees fall on it. The roof is messed up. The walls are all messed up. No electricity. You know what I'm saying? If it floods, then now, even if you get the water out of there, it's mold all in the wall. You got to replace all of the, you know what I'm saying, the walls and stuff like that, the drywall. Like, you got to replace that stuff. I'm not even talking about the furniture, because that water gonna ruin everything. Your refrigerator, your stove, these are major appliances. People spend hundreds of dollars for this stuff per appliance, if not a stack or more. Then you got to stay somewhere. You got to eat. Because this stuff don't happen overnight. Even if you do got the money to fix your roof, you know what I'm saying? In a lot of these places that just got hit, they do not have a means to get to the city or to the little towns, because the roads were washed away and the bridges were washed away. So sometimes you got to come by air to get to the people because they are remote. So what happens then? It's the playing in your face with $750 for me. $750 funky dollars. See, they trying to make it what the American people say is up. Cause you make it now you ticking us off. Now you ticking us off. We already was kind of ticked off with it. But now we see that if anything happened to us as Americans, it's not going to be addressed. Now, all of a sudden, y'all patting y'all pockets and you ain't got it. How you ain't got it? But illegal immigrants got it. How we ain't got it, you ain't got it, but they got it. And we supposed to be blind to figure out where the money went. And now we supposed to, you know what I'm saying, just be gaslit. The money didn't go over there. Well, where'd it go? Where'd it go then? Look, David Copperfield budget. It just disappeared. I don't like being played with. Stand on your business. We don't like American citizens. We're giving the money to the immigrants because This is why we are allowing the illegal immigrants to come into the country in the numbers that they're coming in, because we're trying to replace the workforce and blah 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 blah. We're bringing in a new voting block and all this other kind of stuff, and we're replacing American citizens. We don't care if y'all die off or what. You got that? Just say what you're saying. Stand on business. Jump down in the comment section. Let me know what you think. Like, share, subscribe to the channel if you have not. Once again, I'm your hostess, The Crimson Cure, and this was my perspective. Bye-bye, Crimsonites.